Grade 10. A&E. Hello, julle. Today was my last day of shooting at Binnelanders for now, so I am incredibly happy to be coming home tomorrow. Because I don't have learns to line for tomorrow. I don't have lines to learn for tomorrow. The struggle never ends. Learn your lines, learn your lines. Okay, guys, I'm quickly going to talk you through the greatest Greek playwrights that we know of, in any case, as a continuation of Greek theatre. And that is, of course, Journey, what the what? What the what? Journey 9. Go. Right, so I refer you to page 164, stage 4, playwrights and their plays. Many hundreds of plays must have been written over the centuries for all the festivals that were held in ancient Greece, but only about 45 of these remain. Shame. Okay. The first three, okay, there are 5 playwrights that we're going to be dealing with. The first 3 are tragic playwrights. Now, they are the main konijne because tragedy was considered to be way more significant and important than comedy. But it was the Greeks that introduced us to comedy, of which 2 Greek playwrights started defining comedy in theatre as we know it today. All right, now we're talking about 500 years before the birth of Christ, where comedy actually originated. And it's just a marvelous thing. But let's look at the 3 tragic playwrights of the Greek era, right? Aeschylus, all right? You'll see that name on page 164. Aeschylus, one of the earliest known playwrights, Greek playwrights, whose plays are still read today, is Aeschylus, okay? Now, what he does is he you guys must remember, before I carry on, that many of these plays, because there are about 45 of all 5 of these playwrights, 45 still remain in script form. You've seen what it looks like in script form. It is, it's formal, it's poetic, it's almost chanting, it's very ritualistic almost. But what I want you to remember is that most of these plays, the tragedies in any case, dealt with man's relationship to the gods, and that the gods are in charge of man's destiny and things like that. Okay, so Aeschylus and his plays shows concerns with man's relationship to the gods and with moral principles. Okay, now to this day, these plays are done. They have been reworked, they've been rehashed, they've been almost modernized, given a modern twist, but they're still being done today, which is absolutely fabulous. Okay, so not all Greek plays are boring as watching paint dry. Okay. Okay, so to carry on, excuse me, but it is a long dag. Okay. So the gods in Aeschylus' plays, the gods themselves are intimately involved because he focused a lot still on the ritualistic elements of drama, right? We're talking about the beginning, and this guy Aeschylus was the earliest known playwright, right? One of the developments that Aeschylus brought about was the introduction of a second actor. This allowed for the development of conflict between characters. The chorus was still important, all right? You'll see that as we carry on now, that the chorus diminishes in importance. Die koor raak al hoe minder belangrik. Okay. So the chorus in Achilles' plays was still important, but became less so due to the greater emphasis on the actors. So they started telling a story rather than just chanting to the gods. All right. In the early plays, the chorus was made up of 50 members, but over the years, this number was reduced to 12 or so, right? Achilles' plays were powerful and they were well written. And one example that you need to be aware of would be Orestia. Okay, Orestia is a trilogy. It's a play written in it's like three plays in one. So as long as you guys remember that you will be expected to name at least one play of each of the playwrights that we're dealing with. Right, then we get to my favorite guy, Sophocles. Guess what he wrote? Oedipus Rex. All right. Now, Sophocles is still regarded by many as the greatest of the Greek playwrights. Interestingly enough, he was younger than Aeschylus, which means that he came with a bit of a fresher, more original, almost more rebellious take on Greek theatre, right? And these two guys, Sophocles and Aeschylus, they actually competed at festivals, because remember, it was the festivals were competition of plays. And Sophocles defeated Aeschylus and won. Well, I suppose that means when you defeat someone. Okay. Well, his best known plays are Oedipus Rex and Antigone, which are still often performed today. Right, now listen up. Sophocles introduced a third actor into his plays, and therefore could create greater dramatic complexity in his plots. All of a sudden, we're talking about complexity, plots, friction. We're talking about suspense, and these are all elements of drama. So Sophocles sort of built upon what Aeschylus established, but he started making it more theatrical. And you'll see that all of these playwrights started adding more dramatic elements to what they were doing, right? He was more concerned with human relationships than with religious and philosophical issues. His style of writing was different from that of Aeschylus, as he was more skillful at creating dramatic climax and suspense through complex plot structures. This is the first time that in the history of mankind that we're dealing with complex plot structures, all right? Before that, it was just ritualistic, okay? His characterization is more subtle and multi-layered. So now he's tuning into the finer layers of creating a character, right? We see a move away from the simplicity of earlier plays. He increased the chorus number, huh? Oh, yeah, well, he just added like from 12 to 15. So yeah. Either way, the chorus were less, but he now almost put 3 extra or whatever. The thing about the chorus with Sophocles is that you need to remember is they were less integrated into the action. So the chorus became more and more less important. Okay. Dink aan kerk. Almal sing 'n psalm saam wat 'n sekere tema het en what not. But maar dit raak al hoe minder belangrik of dit feature al hoe minder en dat daar 'n bietjie meer dramatiese elemente geïnkorporeer word in die hele ritueel. Okay. Euripides, page 165, in the middle there, you'll see that it looks like Euripides. It's pronounced Euripides. Okay. Now, Euripides was even younger than his contemporary Sophocles. Okay, so dit lyk vir my die jong klompe, die ouer garde gas gegee daar. And he continued with the kind of innovations introduced by Sophocles. Among his better-known plays are Electra and Medea, right, of which I've seen modern versions of both of them, and it's just excellent stuff. All right. Uh, 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 Now, his works were not as popular as Sophocles. Um, he won 5 contests, but his works are much admired today. Because why? Um, they dealt with a much more psychologically realistic um, element that appeals, especially today, to modern audiences. He was more realistic, and he moved from pure tragedy to what is known as tragicomedy. He was concerned with his character's state of mind as a theme. He questioned the role of the gods and many Athenian beliefs. He used the prologue at the beginning of his plays to summarize the situation. The chorus became less important in his plays and all but disappeared from the works of later dramatists. After Euripides died, there was no playwright of equal stature to take his place. Thus, the writing of the great Greek tragedies came to an end. Right. Important to remember, guys, Aeschylus, the earliest known Greek playwright, Sophocles, the greatest of the Greek playwrights, and Euripides, the last of the great Greek tragic playwrights. Please, page 2, turn over. Page 166, Aristophanes. It looks like it says Aristophanes. It's Aristophanes, okay? So we have Aristophanes and we have Menander, who are the two most important comic playwrights of the Greek classical theatrical era. Okay. Aristophanes presented his plays as at both the city of Dionysia and Linnea. Important to remember that the city of Dionysia festivals were focused on the tragedy plays, okay, because that was the important stuff. Okay, comedies were considered to be lesser theater or lesser drama, low drama. All right, but at the city of Linnea festival, the comedies actually found their platform because there weren't any tragedies competing in that festival. Now, since only Athenian citizens attended the Linnea, he would have had greater freedom to criticize local politicians and current events. That's basically where comedy started. Is someone like Aristophanes, 500 years before the birth of Christ, started criticizing through his plays politicians and current events. His most popular plays are, remember, The Clouds, The Birds, The Frogs. Okay. His comedies mingle farce, personal insults, fantasy, parody, lyrical poetry, and serious commentary on contemporary affairs. So it was almost like he used his plays as a mouthpiece to criticize, but also to comment on the events or the society of the day. And that is pretty much what comedy in its roots, what it is it's a reflection, it's commentary on the world around us. If you think of stand-up comedy, as far as I'm concerned, which is the truest form of comedy because it's so honest, this is pretty much where it started. Okay. Then the second guy, we have Menander. Right. Menander was the best known writer of what became as new comedy. So he even took it a step up from Aristophanes. Only 5 of his plays remain or have survived, and even these are incomplete. All right. Now, new comedy, and Menander, who is known as the creator of new comedy, deals with comic situations in contemporary urban life. It is neither political nor satirical. There's very little trace of religious origins. Um, and his plots actually deal with family matters. Menander also used stock characters. Later this year, you will learn what stock characters are, especially in Commedia dell'arte. You have the lover, you have the idiot, you have the nutty professor, you have the villain, you have. Right, so if you think of stock characters, you, to this day, in any form of entertainment, you'll see a stock character, especially when it comes to a bit of melodramatic acting. All right. So Menander was the guy who brought about comic stock characters, but please keep in mind that he moved away from the religious origins of drama, and it much more realistic, dealt with family matters, interestingly enough. Right. Just before I wrap, page 166, still Greek drama, comedy. All right. Greek comedy came to its own later than tragedy. Comedy was considered inferior to tragedy, like I mentioned. Its real home was Lenaea, the city of Lenaea Festival, like I mentioned. All right. What is comedy? Comedy makes fun of humans for giving in to their materialism and petty instincts, while tragedy emphasizes their attempt to rise above those instincts. Comedy celebrates human instincts while also asking people to behave rationally. It complements tragedy as together they provide a complete and balanced picture of human nature. Right. So very important is that when Aristophanes and Menander came along, they started introducing us to tragicomedy, which was a combination of tragedy and comedy. Right. Page 167. A 24-member chorus was used in comedy. They also sang and danced, but in this genre, the music was designed to create comic effects. Comedy was concerned with everyday matters of politics and social events. There were many references to contemporary situations and people that we may not understand today because we weren't there, right? Unfortunately, also lose much of the original humor through our modern English translations. Remember that these were not written in English; they were written in Greek, not even Latin. They were written in Greek. Greek came before Latin. Okay. Right, guys, that's all from me for now. You'll probably watch this video tomorrow, which means that you should be okay-ish when I see you on Thursday. Please take the time you still have to make sure that you have something to show me regarding your assignments and that you've been working on on the stuff I've given you to work on. I look forward to seeing you. We have a little less than a month to consolidate, make sure that we have covered everything for this term. But like I said in an earlier video, we will focus on the practical when I'm back. But at least now you know the theory that is being integrated into your practical work. All right, that's me over and out. I'm going to pack up because I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming